Hello, I'm Nick Corston from SteamCo. You might have seen me in your school or in one of the community events that I've been involved with at a fete or a festival across the UK, or maybe just seen me on the internet, social media, YouTube or whatever. I started a project in my son's school over 10 years ago with the community of the school called SteamCo, which stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art and Maths, because I think those are really important skills for our young people. I gave my job up a few years ago and I travel all over the country working with schools and communities from Land's End literally to John O'Groats, Northern Ireland to South Wales. And I want to tell you about a really exciting project today. I believe that we have to help every child find their passion in life. Something that could help them make a little bit of money, maybe a lot of money, could help them make some friends, make the world a better place. I call that their art. I love art. I love art so much. I bought the t-shirt, well, I designed my own actually. And I think our art could be painting or photography, cooking, coding, making things from cardboard, fashion, football even, robots, racing cars, rockets, railways, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today. A couple of years ago, the McLaren Formula One team put the SteamCo logo on the front of their cars at the British Grand Prix and made a film about my work to ignite our creativity revolution. I'm from Shropshire, birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, so where better to ignite the creativity revolution? I want to get the first of our pop-up Creativity Day trucks on the road in Shropshire. The second one on the road in Cornwall, because that's where a young lad called Richard Trevithick, who was curious and inventive and creative, literally invented the world's first steam railway loco, and we'll come on to that in a minute. And the third one in Yorkshire, because of those brave men, women and children who literally dug the coal out of the ground with their bare hands. Because for me, art is the coal of the creativity revolution. It's going to power our economy, it's going to power our country, it's going to power our communities, and it's going to power and inspire our children. So today I want to tell you about two things. First of all, the world's smallest model railway exhibition that I first showed on Land's End on Easter Sunday. And then took to a heritage park in Cornwall on Easter Monday, and have since taken to an agricultural show in Devon, to a festival in Brixton in South London, and even a dance festival in Wiltshire and another festival in Cornwall. And on the exhibition here, we've got a whole range of things really. We've actually got a fantastic example of steam power. This is a candle lighting a chamber of water, and when we turn the wheel, the steam turns the wheel. Maybe we need a little bit more pressure there. And that is the very basic principle of steam engines. At the back here, we actually see a model of the Penny Darren locomotive. This was built and invented and created in Ironbridge, apparently, by Richard Trevithick, a lad from Cornwall who looked at the pump engine houses in Cornwall and thought, well, they're not going very fast, they need a bit more pressure, and ups the steam pressure, and went on to develop a steam road locomotive called the Puffing Devil, and then putting it on rails and inventing the world's first steam railway locomotive, which actually ran on the Penny Darren line in South Wales, Merthyr Tydfil down to Swansea. So that's a little model kit. Now that's a very simple little model I just clicked together using this little kit here, little parts. Get this from a company called Bachmann, they sell this, and I got that at a model railway exhibition. That was great fun putting that together. I'd like to put a motor in this actually. While we're on the subject of kits, this is a super kit. This is Stephenson's rocket, a little wooden kit. And this has got all the wooden parts you need to glue together to make what's called an automata model, a wooden crank handle model of a steam loco. This is the Stephenson's rocket, which was invented by George Stephenson, who, believe it or not, couldn't read and write when he was 14, because he literally went to work in a coal mine from the age of 4. But saved up some money, got some lessons and learned to read, and ended up inventing Stephenson's rocket. This is why I'm really excited about railways this year, because on September the 27th, it's the 200th anniversary of the world's first railway, the Stockton-Darlington Railway. And the train on that, the locomotive on that, was the locomotion number 1, which was invented by George Stephenson. And this year is going to be really big for the railways. But it's very important for me that we don't forget the role of Richard Trevithick and the role of Cornwall. In fact, a chap called William Murdoch, I think about 10 years before Richard Trevithick, William Murdoch actually invented the world's first steam road locomotive. called the Murdoch Flyer in Redruth. So that was next to Camborne, where Richard Trevithick went on to build, to invent his steam engines. So Cornwall has a rich heritage, and that's why I'm trying to use Cornwall to ignite and inspire this creativity revolution built on railways. So we've got Richard Trevithick's loco. We've got our little steam engine here, which hopefully going to start going soon. But look at this. This is an old train that is probably about 100 years old. And 100 years ago, we didn't have batteries. How did we make this go? Well, we used this thing. We used this key. We wind it up like this. We wind up our train. All the energy from my hand is going into the key. It's going into the spring. And we're winding up the spring there. And that's getting more and more compressed, storing that energy so that when I pull the little lever here, the wheels go round, and that would run on tracks like this, little metal tracks like this that we'd hook together, and that would have been the early precursor to one of the first toy trains that anybody would have ever got to play with. And in fact, when we didn't have the internet and we didn't have tablets and computer games consoles, that would have been a whole day's entertainment. In fact, I love showing children a video of me with my dad when I was 1. And my first train set, showing how my dad spent some time with me, to play with me, to be with me, to make things with me, to give a story that I tell in schools wherever I go, and to inspire me to find my art. I went to university to be an engineer because I love model railways, as you can see now. Lots of boys and girls have had these little Brio trains, and I love going to festivals now with my son's old Brio train track, and I get that out on a piece of wood. And the children play with that. And I've been really grateful for the support of local buildings merchants here in the southwest, a company called Bradford. So you've given me the wood, not only to build the world's smallest model railway, but to build a platform that we can take to festivals for trains to run, even a roller disco we built one year. They've also supplied us with pipes, which we use to make rockets, and have been really supportive. So it's important to note that the CO in STEAMCO stands for collaboration, which is all about working together and businesses helping people like me do what we do. Over here, we've got a real steam locomotive. My sons and I used to call this Beauty. This weighs about 5 kilograms. It's really heavy. And if you look very carefully in there, you'll see we've got the controls. This actually works with real steam, and it's got all the pistons and everything under there. And that runs on what's called O-gauge track. And that's what's called a garden railway layout. And here in Cornwall, there's a place called the Moseley Heritage Centre, and they've got a steam railway that you can actually go and see these trains running around on. One of my favourite trains, and I know lots of boys and girls find this really exciting, is this little train here. This is a robot train that we can code using Scratch or tablets, and we put it on the track, and it's going to read the track. In this case, it's going to read colour tablets in the track and know whether to go backwards or increase its speed. So we buzz that across there like that. And the blue tablet tells it to change direction, the green tablet tells it to change speed, and that is about it. That's my world's smallest model rail exhibition, and I hope you, find that quite exciting. Now, I've used this world's smallest model rail exhibition here as an idea really to launch the world's biggest model railway. Given Cornwall's involvement in the Industrial Revolution and in the history of the railway through Richard Trevithick and William Murdoch, I want to ignite and build the world's biggest model railway, and that's what's in this box here. Now this might look like an ordinary box file which is used to store papers, and I've plugged it into my layout here using some special edge connectors, and inside this box is a model railway, or part of a model railway. I've called this Surfside, this station. We've got a surfboard shaped station. We've got a piece of track running through. I've got some waves here. We've got some cardboard trees and a house and a bridge. And more importantly, we've got some words and a little story that describes the scene and describes the story. A Cornish tin mine, pump house, Eden Project, a beach, a surfer, because this is a fictitious station set in Cornwall. And what I'm trying to do is to encourage schools and families, businesses, designers, creative people all across Britain to make one of these box layouts. I've already shown this at Trevithick Day in Camborne in Cornwall, alongside all the other engines, had a great response, and shown it at William Murdoch Day in Redruth. And now we want to get the whole country making these layouts. And in September, on the 27th of September, we want to plug them all together. So I'm hoping you'll get involved. And what I want to do is spend the rest of this short video explaining and giving you some ideas and telling you what's inspired me. The idea for this came from a chap called Kevin Staden from More Boxes, and basically he builds model railways in box files, loops of track, and they're absolutely amazing, absolutely beautiful. I saw him at the Great Cornwall Model Show in Poole near Redruth and Cambourne a couple of years ago. And I went back there this year and had the idea of using these box files to create the world's biggest model railway layout. So hopefully people make them, we plug them together. When I was a little boy, I loved making model railways, and this is a little signal box that I built out of bits of plastic and cardboard and little matchsticks. This is a little house that I built out of just bits of cardboard. By folding boxes together and sticking them on, you can actually buy, in those days we used to have to buy bits of cardboard and paper with tiles and bricks printed on, but now obviously you could probably use a printer to do that. And I built a model railway based on a place called Bloxham, a railway station in Oxfordshire, and I'm finishing that at the moment. Well, I want to finish that off in the back of my Starship and take that to schools and communities this summer. But one of the things about model railways, when you go to model railway exhibitions, the modelling is just incredible. They're so realistic and it's wonderful to look at, but a bit scary, a bit intimidating. A lot of people think, I couldn't possibly do something as good as that. So I've deliberately made my layout here really quite simple, because frankly, that's what it's about. And I want people to just create stories about railway travel or their community, or what the train meant to them, or where a train might take them in their life, maybe to another planet, or under the sea, or into a cliff, into a magical world. I don't know. And we've really got to be creative, and you could write some stories. So the idea is that we build the model in here, we write about it on the inside of the box lid here, and maybe put some pictures and draw some pictures, and ideally make a little video describing it, maybe just 60 seconds, and then send that in, and we can provide a link on a QR code there so people can look at that with their phone and play the video of what the story is about. And obviously on the end of the box here, to write the name of the school and the title of the project. Now, I am also hoping that there will be some railway modellers who will do some super quality models as well. My layout was inspired by this train set I bought in a model railway shop in Devon called Simon's Trains. There's another super model railway shop in Cambourne called Kerno Trains. And this is a great place to start, because in this set I got some track, and I got some a loco and two little trucks and a goods wagon. And I'm very, very grateful to a company called Pico. So Pico make model railway bits and pieces. So they make this little truck here. They make this in a village in Devon called Beer. They make everything in that village. So little models here, like a little water tower. This is a model of an engine shed that you can buy and stick together and paint. They even make track. And all of these things are made in their factory in Devon. Nothing's been made in China, and this catalogue has got everything that they make for model railways in what's called N gauge, which is this size of track. There's a new size, relatively new size called TT, which is the next size up, and then 00, which is what most people associate with model railways, the Hornby layouts. And they make all these bits and pieces here. It's absolutely fantastic. And I've been very grateful to them because they've given me everything I need to build my model railway in the back of my Starship. In fact, let's see if my train can come through. Let's start the train. Here it comes, my little loco steaming through there. Fantastic. If you're building something for this layout, it's important to note that this track is what we call N gauge, as I say, and that uses a scale of 2 millimeters to a foot. Now, in the olden days, we used to measure things by feet, and a foot is about that much, and there are a little bit more than 3 feet in a meter. So if there are 2 millimeters for every foot, so if you were to make something that was 6 foot tall, a human being, say a tall person like me that's 6 foot tall, they would be 6 feet, and there are 2 millimeters to every feet, so they would be 12 millimeters tall in the model. So if you're building a house, or you could say that there are 6 millimeters to every meter, because 2 millimeters to a foot, and there are 3 feet in a meter, so 2 times 3 is 6. So everything that in the real world is a meter tall would be 6 millimeters tall on your model. So if you were to build a model of your house or your school, you'd measure it, then you'd have to divide it to get down to how many millimeters it should be. Now, in terms of making your model, you could keep it very simple like this. You could just make it colourful. You could make it very fantastical, like a fantasy, or you can go to a company like this. This is Bachmann, who make the same model railway set there, And you can buy these little landscape kits with little bits and pieces to make hedges and rocks and everything you need to do that, and instructions. They've got grass kits so that you can sprinkle grass down on your layout. They've got tree making kits. The only thing we have to be careful of is we have to be able to shut the lid on the box. So some of these trees might be a little bit big, so we do need to keep it so we can shut the lid. And this is really exciting. This is called Mod Rock, and it's basically the sort of stuff that if you break your arm and they put plaster around it and they set it, this is that. It's a material that's been soaked in plaster. You put some water on it, shape it, and then let it set and paint it. And that would be used to make some scenery. So I'm going to make my own building, my own little layout using that. So that's what we're really asking you to do. We're asking you, schools, communities, businesses, any individual, to make a model railway. It could be a really fantastic, fine model, or it could be something fantastical like this. But whatever, I do hope you'll get involved. I hope you'll be able to come up to Darlington to plug it in on September the 27th, or post it back to me and I'll take it up for you and connect it all up. I'm just a dad. I'm doing my best to inspire our children to aim not just high, but higher than high, higher than my hive is with their creativity. And I'm really grateful for your interest, even just watching this video, but I really hope you do.
And I'm gonna be